Don't forget to have your cake and eat it too. And the event tickets on top of it, well, that's just the icing on top. And I think I know what you're thinking too. Jake, 2 cake puns in a row. I'm really glazing you guys hard here. What's going on, YouTube? It is Tuesday, so we have our weekly vendor refresh. We have 3 of them. We start inside the Infinite Archive, which is inside of Apocrypha. Now, the first thing we need to talk about here, you always pick up your coins off the ground. And the second thing is, just make sure you talk to Fire Lul, see what he's got in store. We start off with an interesting one. It's the Dwarven Horn Grip, which actually comes from a Ebon Dwarven Mount lead. Now, this lead is actually a bit notorious because it is exceptionally annoying. You have to actually farm a dungeon, Darkshade Caverns 2, to get this bad boy, and that can be a long run because you're probably not going to find people farming it very often because it's not a super popular dungeon to do. And the other issue with this one is that there's a lot of leads that you need to get. Now, I will tell you, this is one of the more annoying ones just because you're going to have to go through at least the entire dungeon a few times to actually get this lead. Does that justify it being worth, 5,000 archival fortunes? That's going to kind of depend on you. This is actually what the mount itself looks like. It looks like exactly as you would imagine, a dwarven wolf mount to look. So it's up to you. It could be worth it. It could not be worth it. It's just, as you, the player, this is what I would consider if I was you. This next one is also unique because it drops from a really annoying area. Now, thankfully, this one is just a furnishing items. You can actually see this is the well at the top here above Ring of Stone. That's actually what it looks like. And you have to actually get it from treasure maps, which is always really annoying to do. It comes from Apocrypha. So Apocrypha treasure maps are not necessarily known for being very affordable. 5,000 archival fortunes, though, is a premium amount of currency. Is it worth it to buy to get for a furnishing lead? Up to you, as always. I would lean towards probably not, just because it doesn't look super cool. It just kind of looks like a generic well, but there are a lot of collectors out there. Next up, we have Mighty Chewed, which you could see up here at the tippy top, how that looks if you were to model on yourself. It's kind of like a Monster Hunter-esque piece to wear. Now, I will tell you, this piece right now is actually worth a significant amount of gold. You can see people are selling this bad boy for 6 to 7 million, essentially. But I will tell you is that if you go back in time, you can see that throughout different periods of time, the value on this item was not nearly as high. You could probably guess which month it was available to be farmed, but even still, 3 million gold is still a significant savings. Now, you'll see there's quite a few bits of range here, but this is actually a monster mass that retains a decent amount of value. This is over an entire year period. Again, it would be untradeable, but as far as getting an item that's considered rare, worth, potentially millions of gold in savings, not actually a bad one to do. Next up are furnishing plans, which means that you can build these infinitely as long as you, buy the item itself first. Use these ingredients, you can make these items. Now, you can sell the actual made item. You cannot sell the diagrams. Is any of these worth it? I would argue no. I mean, this is a ton of heartwood for not a lot of good-looking furnishings here, and everybody and their mom's going to have the ability to buy these right now, so it's going to be a little bit of a competitive market. So I would overall skip on these items. And we have Clockwork City treasure maps, easy skip. Yes, the sets there have a little bit of value to them, but not nearly enough to justify 2,000 archival fortunes. Medium armor, maybe. Maybe you're like Jake, I really want a DPS companion. That's fine. I think you could gamble on, a couple medium pieces. Then we have Captain Borara's records. They decided to write everything down. And then we have another Torvasards. If I pronounced that correctly, you have to subscribe. He wrote a journal. Then we have our scripts. We have Frost, Defile, and Anchorite's Potency. Defile, I actually really like. Being able to get Defile easily on classes that don't easily get access to it, or you don't have to run certain skills to get it through scribing, can be pretty good. Frost damage is essential for certain builds, but the problem is these are pretty expensive. Even if you have them unlocked already, 2,000 to 3,000 archival fortunes, that's an investment when you consider that you could be saving hours of grinding for 5,000, or you could be saving yourself millions of gold. So it's always going to come down to you, just providing, what I think about these ones. Then we have our big-eared kitten Runebox fragment. You can buy these for gold. That's an easy skip. Fragment of Ascendant is interesting because it gives you access to that green roar, but the Ascendant one means you can actually skip farming Moonhunter Keep. So you're spending 5,000 archival fortunes to essentially not have to run Moonhunter Keep. If you're a werewolf, Moonhunter Keep is basically like your home, and fragments are 100% drop rate. Is it worth spending 5,000 archival fortunes and not have to run an annoying dungeon? Probably not, but it is kind of unfun if I'm being honest. And then we have Malographic Ichor. Now this can be used to combine 50 times into getting a mount. You can also get these by doing just generic Infinite Archive mumbo jumbo. Maybe you purchase these if you're dedicatedly farming it. It is a cool looking, Apocrypha-esque mount, but generally I say if you're already farming, to get the actual fragments, you don't need to buy these extra. Next up, we're inside the Scholarium, which is inside of Ivea, which is outside the plane of existence, right over here, or right over there, inside of here. Now, if you guys have any questions about scribing, check out our website, link in the description below. And a lot of people are like, Jake, what's scribing? I don't have time to break down the whole kit and caboodle in these videos, but you can buy yourself some rotational scripts. Everything from script and below rotates. So you got Expedition, Bleed Damage, Class Mastery. This one is actually fixed here. An Immobilizing Strike. Expedition is pretty decent. Being able to put that on certain abilities that you yourself can create is pretty helpful. Being able to expedite your ability to go from one place to another, especially certain classes which don't have easy movement speed increases, or ones that have to get it through really annoying means, like getting it through the Sigic skill line. Bleed Damage, I mean, you're just buying it for a couple thousand gold, maybe. Class Mastery, obviously, is a skip. Unless you have it, then you just need to buy it once for 5,000. And Immobilizing Strike is another interesting one. It's pretty decent. I mean, being able to immobilize an enemy, especially in PvP, is pretty helpful, but it doesn't see as much utilization as you would think it would for being called Immobilizing Strike. People definitely do use it a little bit, but it's not essential. I would say fire damage, frost damage, you're going to see significantly more people probably even using Defile than Immobilizing Strike. And next up, we are inside our Imperial City area. Again, if you're like, Jake, where specifically are you? Always check the resources below. And we're talking to our actual Telvar merchant here because they have rotational items. We start with some sets. Now, you can buy these in amulets or rings. This is an interesting 5 pieces. They're all PvP sets, but where they come from PvP is different. This is actually a Battleground set. When you deal direct damage with a blink, charge, leap, teleport, or pull ability, you decrease the crit resistance of your enemy by 40% and increase your critical resistance by an equal amount for 10 seconds. This effect can occur once every 7 seconds. I was not as key on this set coming out, as a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, this is busted. Important to consider here, this only affects one enemy. People think that you're going to leap into an ability of 10 people, reduce all their crit resistance by 40%. And even then, a lot of people really aren't really running a whole lot of crit resistance these days. It's not necessarily the meta that we're in. Now, that's not to say that there aren't a lot of people doing it, but this is supposed to be the anti-ball group set, and it doesn't really, I think, meet that standard of, oh yeah, if you want to destroy ball groups, run this set. I don't think this is a set that you're necessarily going to be going towards. That being said, there's still utilization for it, being able to constantly build up your crit resistance pretty consistently, because you can have a 7-second cooldown on it and having a good uptime. I think it's still a good set. I would give it a 9.0. I think it's going to be meta dependent. I don't necessarily think that this is the meta for it, but I do think that it is not as busted as people say it is. If you go online, some people talked about this being a 10 out of 10 set, a must-have, for people, and I don't see that. Next up is Kind's Kiss. When you deal direct damage while 12 meters or further from your target, you heal 2310 and restore 1314 stamina. This effect can occur once every 5 seconds, and the heals scale off your higher of your maximum magicka or stamina. This is such a weird set, right? Because this is going to be shocking, but if you're 12 meters away from somebody, you probably don't need to heal as much, and you might probably don't even need to restore too much stamina, because usually the people who are further away are using magicka, which is why I wish this set, did magicka or stamina, a combination of the two of them. Healing, the set is just trying to do too many obtuse things, and that, yeah, you could build a decent build with it, so I give it a 6.5, but you're not buying this with your Telvar. This is just too finicky. If you're that far away from the conflict, what are you healing from? fall damage. Next up is a relatively straightforward one. It's the inert inlays. Now, this is actually from the Thracian Stranglers, but it's just any world boss in Arteron. A lot of people are farming world bosses right now because it's literally a Jubilee event, and the world bosses there are made out of cupcake material. So don't buy this. However, this lead is very annoying, and I'm very happy to see it because this is the preserved Waxu feathers. So you have to actually use Remain Silent NPC in any of the Outlaws' refuges. Pick Have Any Equipment today, and the drop is then based on that RNG. You have to have the Shadowy Supplier unlocked passive, and a lot of people, they don't have multiple characters with the Shadowy Supplier unlocked because you have to level up the Dark Brotherhood, and there's no real good reason to have multiple characters with the Dark Brotherhood leveled up. So this is definitely a lead that I would consider buying. I really do love the Gaze of Sithis. I think it's one of the best starter mythics for PvP. You get a ton of health, ton of recovery, ton of armor, and then you just can't block. So it actually builds roll dodging into kind of your forte a little bit. It's especially good, I think, for mag characters that like to be a little bit further away. And then they can, be focused on roll dodging or just face tanking attacks while continually pumping out consistent damage. I love the Gaze of Sithis. I have tons of builds on it. I could definitely recommend it to you. But this lead is very annoying. And 25k Telvar, if you're a PvPer, you want to get into PvP, you probably have 25k Telvar, and this is a good skip for you to get. What is not is Malbator treasure maps and the 2 rings of what we just talked about below. But then we get into Cowardice, Intellect and Endurance, Knockback, Growing Impact. Now, of these, I think Intellect and Endurance is interesting because then you can stack with your potions, your Tri-Stat potions, and you can stack Intellect and Endurance. You're having minor and major recoveries of your Magicka and Stamina. I think that's really good. Is it worth buying with Telvar? Well, it is something that's really only good for PvP, maybe solo content. So I would generally say maybe you want to look into this if you don't have it unlocked on a character, or maybe if you're a PvPer who's not doing a lot of daily quests, therefore not getting a lot of affect scripts. Maybe you purchase it, but generally I think the Telvar on this is going to be a little bit too expensive. And then the Fragment of the Bad Man actually also comes from what we talked about earlier, but this one actually comes from the group event in Glenumbra, which is literally easy. You can do it blindfolded, so don't buy this one. Maybe you buy the Moonhunter one, because Moonhunter Keep is pretty finicky. It's got mechanics. Scary, I know. Listen, mechanics scare me sometimes too, because then I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to use my microphone to communicate with people, or I'm going to have to use my keyboard, so maybe you buy that one from the other vendor, but I would say you could farm a group dungeon blind. You don't worry about that. But thank you guys so much again for watching. We record these quickly over my lunch break, so thank you guys for sticking around. I tried to make this one a little bit more expeditiously, so we're doing quickly. Our 3 giveaway drawings, all you need to do to enter is leave a like and a comment on the video. As many videos as you want throughout the month for the April drawing. Second thing is just make sure you're subscribed. Subscribe on as many accounts as you want to. And the third thing is look for a hidden word be flashed upon the screen. If you're the first person to find and comment that word, you will win. There's 1 hidden word per month. So April will have a hidden word. You guys already found the one in March. So thank you guys again. Have a fantastic Tuesday. Again, these are all available until next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which I will catch you guys then. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jakeclips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.